The next 24 months at Rhythm are going to be a very, very exciting time for all of us and the Australian biotech space. With key milestones coming up, such as a clinical trial commencement, which is a significant moment for the company, identifying a step change from the laboratory into commercialisation.
At the end of the day, if I walk away from this with a product in the market which is working for our investors and is also saving lives, I'll be a pretty happy person.
Colorectal cancer is the second biggest killer in the US, Australia and Europe. Over 850,000 people die a year from it.
In Australia, that's about 17,000 new cases each year and about 4,000 deaths each year. And Australia has one of the highest rates of colorectal cancer globally. And so this has been really one of the key things that drove us into this particular area.
Screening is the key for all cancers.
Colorectal cancer, if detected early, can be cured in greater than 90% of cases. However, if the cancer is detected at later stages, that cure rate drops down to about 10%. And so early detection is absolutely critical. And so being able to detect early stage cancers is a very important thing for a screening test.
The fecal immune test, or the FIT test, otherwise known as the stool test, that's been around for a very long time. And that's adopted by governments globally across Australia, Europe, Asia, US.
If you're over 50 and you've had an opportunity to receive in the mail a little package from the government, a gift that you get on your 50th, your 52nd, your 54th birthday, you get to actually handle your own stool with a little paddle and to put those paddles into a solution, put those in the fridge, do it over a couple of days and post them away. While there are 4 million new kits that go out in Australia each year, that now that the full implementation of the National Bowel Cancer Screening Program is underway, we're only getting back around 40% of those kits. So there's 60% of people who aren't doing that test. It's not a test for cancer at all. The markers aren't cancer specific. It's actually looking for bleeding into the stool. And so that test, it saves lives, is a very good test. However, its sensitivity is 66% compared with our 73%. And its specificity is at similar levels. So what we say is that our technology is at least as good as what's in the market currently, but the big advantage is it's a blood test over a stool test.
The compliance to that isn't where we need it to be as a society. So in Australia it's 40%, Europe it averages out to about 35%. Canada's a little bit different because it's based on provinces, some are as low as 7%. And of course, the Chinese market's at about 19%.
Cost is an important thing, particularly I think when you're looking at the screening market.
There's also a new wave of excitement around liquid biopsy or DNA-based tests. But the challenge with the mass screening market with those is that the cost is prohibitive. We're aiming to be the low-cost mass market product. We're confident that we can be that. Being an immunoassay, these tests are performed day in, day out by all the laboratories around the world. So our test would simply be taken from the same blood draw that patient was going to get their cholesterol tested. They wouldn't know any different. So the patient would go in, get the referral from the GP, as they would normally. They would go to their local pathology collection centre, give the blood, and then they would get a call back from the GP when the results are received to come in for discussion. Because typically if you're over 50, you're going to the GP anyway for your full blood, thyroid, cholesterol, your annual checkup. So this would simply be another box that the GP ticks. With the multiple avenues that we have to go to market via laboratories such as Sonic or Primary Healthcare or Dorovich that we know here in Australia, all the way through to teaming up with large IVD pharma companies such as the Roches and Siemens and Becton Dickinsons and Abbotts of the world. So we have a very deep knowledge base and experience in this space.
And when you consider our target markets, which are the US and Australia and Europe, and when you consider those people who are recommended to screen for bowel cancer, that's really all people above the age of 50 years of age. So if we think about Europe, Australia and the US, There's about 250 million people who are in that age group, and there's about 130 million of those people who aren't screening for bowel cancer. We were really fortunate in May of 2018 to have Glenn Gilbert join us at that stage as COO for the company. Glenn came to us from Medical Developments International, where he had been involved in international deal doing around Penthrox and a range of other technologies as well.
Previous experience across CSL and medical developments has covered areas of manufacturing, supply chain, operations, quality assurance, product development, IP, business development, corporate development. So I've had a broad range of experiences that have managed global portfolios that I'll be able to bring to Rhythm Biosciences.
So his detailed knowledge and success and track record of taking things through into to commercialization, both in the US, Europe and Asia, has been really a coup for the company, and it's fantastic to now have him taking on that role of CEO now, where it really is about how you do the business to actually make the success of the company.
Colostat's a unique product in that it has many channels that we can enter into. So from a commercialisation point of view, we can get it on to be the global screening diagnostic of choice, so replacing the FIT test. We can augment and be as a supplement to that, so perhaps a FIT test could be done, followed by a Colostat test, and then a definitive colonoscopy could be taken if necessary. It has applications to content on the machines that the big pharma companies and diagnostic companies sell. So that adds value to them as well as the labs themselves that are buying those machines. Of course, we've spoken a lot about the screening programs, which are typically 50 to 75-year-olds. America are looking at reducing that down to 40. But what about those with family history? So if you're a 30-year-old and your mother's had it and your father's had it, you're not going to wait 20 years until you get your present from the government. You're going to want to work with your primary physician and actually get a test underway. So not everyone has the money to go and spend $2,000 on a colonoscopy, so Colostat's a perfect alternative choice for those patients.
I had a really enjoyable 35 years with CSIRO, where I carried out many roles, but in the last 15 years I was head of the area of colorectal cancer and gut health.
Rhythm are incredibly fortunate to have Trevor Lockett working with us. He is the guru of all things gut health here in Australia and has been involved across bringing multiple technologies across the CSIRO over 35 years. So his leadership, his nous, his ability and his knowledge of the whole gut space is second to none. And so we are rapt to have him involved. Particularly also given the fact that there were similar technologies that were developed at the CSIRO, and Trevor's chosen to follow ours out to really make a difference. So that's a great testament to the product, and obviously Trevor himself, that we have a product that will actually save lives and be adaptable to the mass screening market globally.
The decision to move from CSIRO to Rhythm Biosciences was not a trivial one for me, I must admit. So I really had enjoyed my life in CSIRO, and really we had done some excellent work. But really, I'd also spent the last 15 years there as a theme leader, talking about the translation of technology into the market, and I felt also that here was technology that would otherwise wither on the vine, that could really have market opportunities, that could make some money for investors, but could also save lives.
As part of licensing the technology from the CSIRO, there was an equity component of that deal. So CSIRO hold 2.5% of Rhythm. And they had the opportunity to sell as part of the recent escrow, and they have not done so. So they too see the value in Rhythm, in the technology and the execution of this to have a real impact globally. We're in a comfortable position where the product has been significantly de-risked.
And so that was started in 2003, and through a series of case control studies, we went from identifying 68 candidate proteins to patenting a set of 10 proteins which in various combinations can be used to accurately detect bowel cancer.
And we're also wrapped to have Merchant Opportunities Fund taking up 8.1% of the register. So Merchant Opportunities Fund are a Perth-based company, and they've had a very successful history in the small cap biotech space. We have the opportunity to bring forward the US clinical development program. So we are taking steps to engage the FDA.
Commercialisation of the technology is absolutely key to the success of the technology, and also for investors getting reward from that.
So what we'll be demonstrating in the first quarter will be the ability to commence a clinical trial. So that will show that we're taking a step away from the test tubes and the R&D and putting more of a commercial bent on the business. So this will demonstrate that we can negotiate with ethics committees, we can work with trial sites, we can negotiate contracts, and we can inform recruitment. There's another alternative for the US, and that is a clear lab opportunity. So we can start selling our lab developed tests through an approved laboratory in the US and commence sales, and also commence getting data on US patients that we will then file with our FDA application. So there's two key aspects to penetrate the US market. The excitement around Rhythm is that by the end of this year we would have completed a pivotal clinical trial, which means we can then file for market authorisation and then sales. So sales are great and we love sales, however the actual impact on delivering to customers and patients all around the world is far greater. The opportunity within the US, Australia and Europe is 250 million patients. Over half of them don't actually screen at the moment for various reasons. So assuming a nominal price of $50, that's a $6 billion market opportunity.
So we're in a position to take our test now through to a definitive, these are called prospective trials.
We've identified learnings from the past, identified where other companies have had trouble, and we've taken steps to ensure that we have a suitable CRO, we have a suitable testing laboratory, we have suitable data management and suitable risk mitigation strategies for everything else. Plus, ensuring we recruit within a timely fashion to actually not burn cash. And we do not want to replicate small biotechs of the past that tend to go through clinical trials, spend a lot of money, then all of a sudden get a result and then have to look up and then go, hey, we've got a product, but we don't have any money. We'll be running a commercialisation and business development campaign to ensure as soon as we get regulatory approval, we'll have significant bang for buck and a partner ready to go across multiple channels. We have our commencement of our ISO certification, which is 13485 for manufacturing and quality. That will now enable us to become a manufacturer and supply quality products into our test and then out to the global markets. In our case, we're going to be a Class 2 medical device, IVD, which means that we will be completing the same regulatory documentation and dossier as most other devices that are out there on the market. And so it's a very well understood, very well worn and trotted path, so we know what we need to do. So we will conform to those. We've commenced documentation and the preparation of those documents, testing, validation and all the rest of it. So as soon as we finish Study 7, we'll simply slot in those results into the clinical section of that dossier and then go to submit.
The Bio21 incubator space or precinct is very novel in Australia.
Bio21 offers a really great environment for biotech companies, both small and large. Obviously with CSL being the largest industry partner at Bio21.
The advantage here is that the industry tenants actually interact with the academic tenants. They're actually part of the building.
So the people around us and the equipment we have around us and the ability to share are world-class and cutting edge.
It's not a matter of having a building where there's a whole bunch of industry players in there. It's a lot more important to actually get them interacting with the academics and with the other industry partners, and that's a real plus. And so this is the best precinct in Australia for biotechnology because of that interaction between industry and academia.
We have the opportunity to make a global difference on a global stage with an undervalued product as it is today. 850,000 people die of bowel cancer every single year. Our test will go a long way in preventing that.